Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to once again formally welcome you to this remembrance service in honor of the late Michelle A. Harding. We recognize that you could have chosen to be anywhere else today, but you made the decision to be here, to stand with us, to support us, and to remember her life and legacy. On behalf of Grace Deliverance Tabernacle and the Harding family, we thank you sincerely for your presence and your prayers. A meaningful program has been prepared, and we believe your heart will be touched and uplifted by what you will experience today. We are also especially grateful and filled with anticipation and great expectation for the word that will soon be released. We are truly honored to have in our midst a dynamic woman of God, and she is no stranger to this house. In fact, she walked through the doors of this very ministry at just 23 years of age. We have had the honor to watch her heart, hands, and voice bless many. A close and cherished friend of the late, Michelle A. Harding. Pastor Nadine Barnes walked alongside her in faith and friendship and in ministry. She now serves faithfully as assistant pastor at Prayer of Jabez Church of God under the leadership of Pastor Janet Matthew. A proud mother of 3, she carries a deep and unwavering passion to minister to the daughters of Zion, birthing movements of intercession and breakthrough through her powerful prayer ministry. Her love for the Lord is evident in every word she speaks and every life she touches. We look forward to hearing from her very soon. But before she comes, we kindly ask that you silence your phones, prepare your hearts, and turn your attention to the screens as we reflect together.
Mom, don't worry about her. But can you just bring her back, please? We're begging for her. We just want her to feel better. We're playing the blood of Jesus for her. God can't, please. We're begging for her. We can't do this anymore.
All my life was full of sin when Jesus found me. All my heart was full of misery and woe. Jesus placed His loving arms around me. And He led me in the way I ought to go.
Hey team, so someone just commented under the memorial service post. Really? Chris Strings honoring the dead? When the person's dead, he's dead.
Oh wow, people wake up and choose keyboard warrior every morning, huh? Why I just heard Bishop voice say, oh wow.
I didn't want to respond until I asked, do we let it sit?
I will keep it visible for transparency, but reply gracefully, savage. I can write, honoring legacy is actually biblical. The Bible actually encourages us to remember the faith of those who've gone before us, but thank you for who's engaging. Oh, that's solid.
Love that. I'll just post this version. Hi there, just to clarify, honor isn't about worship, it's about legacy. Scripture reminds us to honor those who lived a life of faith. Her impact continues today, and we're grateful to celebrate that.
And if they come back, I'll just hide the thread. We're not feeding trolls this week.
When somebody dies, they're gone. That's the honest, brutal truth. But how do you give proper acknowledgement to someone who left such a deep imprint on a ministry? Someone who was part of God's work on earth, His impact through human hands. Leaders pass through ministries all the time, and more often than not, their contributions quietly fade into the background. When I was a little girl, my dad would often take me out to weeknight services to visit many ministries. But as I got older, one by one, I'd hear that these pastors had been called home to glory. He'd share with us pastors I could remember and what their ministries looked like. But my siblings, they were always confused. They had no memory of who they were or the ministries they led, the fire that they once had. You see, the world creates holidays and monuments to honor legacy. But the church, we've been trained to just move on. Generations come and go, never hearing the names that once paved the ways for the ministries that they are now a part of. Last year we held a private memorial, but that wasn't enough. I knew I needed to do more, not just to remember her, but to teach others about her. To introduce the women they'd never met, and to help them realize that the grace they experience today didn't start with a building or a name. It started with her, the founder of Grace Deliverance Tabernacle. Like most of us, I don't think I truly understood the impact of my mother's ministry until she was gone. For most of my life, I simply knew her as mom, but to others, she was the pastor's wife. Shortly after her passing, story after story began to surface, stories of who she really was.
Sister Harding was my neighbor before anything else. One day I seen her playing Candy Crush, and I was like, "Oh, Sister Harding, you play Candy Crush?" I was surprised because I'm not used to seeing older people playing games, game and things. But she was having trouble passing a level, and then she gave me the phone. I helped her with the level, and she was so happy. She was so happy that I helped her pass the level because she said she was trying so hard. She was trying days to pass the level. She was down to earth and relatable, inspired me to love ministry and the church.
Favorite memory of Sister Arden is when one Sunday she approached me and asked me to read the Bible, and I told her I was nervous, and she said, "Okay, this is what I want you to do. Go home, get the Bible, and read in front of the mirror. So come next Sunday, you can read." So I went home, I did the same, and then following Sunday, I was able to read the Bible without being nervous.
My memorable time of Sister Harding was when I first came here, and when they asked all newcomers to stand up first time, and I gave my name. A few Sundays after that, I was asked to help serve at fellowship, and she called me out by name. I did not even know that she knew me by name, and that was very impressive, that she knew my name, and she also applauded me on the way I served. I will always remember her. She always lived within me.
One of my favorite memories of Sister Harding is when I first started coming to the ministry. I was believing God for my whole household to be saved, and she stood in the gap and interceded and came into agreement with me. And she was always encouraging me to just keep the faith, to hold on, and it came to pass. My whole household came into the house of the Lord. And another fond memory is when I was getting married, the words of wisdom and courage that she gave me, and the insight. When I think of it, it makes my heart smile because we're going 14 years strong coming up this year, and she was just such a blessing and an inspiration. She carried herself with such grace, and I was honored, greatly honored, to sit under her leadership.
Sister Michelle Harding was a great person. Oh my God, I don't know where to begin. She was my shopping partner. I remember one incident we went to Macy's on a Saturday shopping. I was going to a banquet the same afternoon. We was there all day shopping. Bishop called and said, "You guys are coming home?" And we said yes. We got home just in time to change because I went to the banquet. She was a very loving person, caring person, a good friend. Oh my God, I miss her so much.
One of the most profound moments in our lives happened just a few months after my wife and I were married. You see, long before we ever thought about starting a family, Sister Harding and Bishop Harding reached out to us, inviting us to meet them at the altar here at Grace for prayer. We didn't even realize we needed at that time. You see, they had no idea of the difficult road that lay ahead, the heartache and despair we would face in our struggle to conceive. When the doctors gave their grim prognosis, it felt as though our dreams were slipping away. Yet in the midst of our pain, God remembered a simple prayer, a simple heartfelt prayer. In a moment that can only be described as miraculous, He granted us a victory we had begun to fear was impossible, blessing us with not one, but 3 amazing children, Mikhail, Michaela, and Zela. Sister Harding didn't wait for the storm to arrive. She prayed for us before the struggle even began. Today, as Monique and I reflect on our journey, we are overwhelmed with gratitude for her quiet strength and unwavering love. Her impact on our lives is immeasurable. And just like the names of courageous women in the Bible, Esther, Ruth, Naomi, the name Michelle Harding will forever resonate in our home. Our children will grow up not just knowing her name, but the profound love and faith that she instilled in us during our darkest hour. It will be a legacy of hope that will guide us always.
I remember, my mom didn't tell me because I was young, but I know that when it was really, when I got older, and me and her was just, it was just day, me and her was just talking, and she told me about it, and I was crying. I'm like, I didn't believe it. At first I thought she was just trolling. I didn't know if she was for real, but she was for real. And a family friend of my mom that actually took her to the hospital when she was gonna have me, I ended up asking him, and he told me. And he was like, I asked him, I was like, so why didn't y'all been tell me this? But they just said that you was just too young, and it was just like, yeah. And I realized that I really got lucky, and that it was actually the power of God that really brought me here. My name is Elijah Raymond. Immediately after I was born, my mother stopped responding. The doctor said that it didn't look good, and they didn't think she would wake up. But Sister Harding believed differently. My mom said that she heard Sister Harding calling her name from a dark place. Because of Sister Harding's faith, I didn't have to grow up without a mother. Instead, I grew up with a mom that loved and guided me in the direction of God. 16 years later, I now serve in the ministry that Sister Harding started. Her voice brought my mom back, but her legacy called me forward.
What was her ministry? Her ministry wasn't laying hands or preaching on Sundays. That was my dad's ministry. Hers was daily obedience, intentional love, showing up in ways that you wouldn't expect her to. She was quiet about her impact, humble in her approach. Even my father didn't know half of the things she had done for people. People came to salvation, not through altar calls, but through ordinary moments she made holy. This is where she used to wash the dishes after our banquets and dinner parties that we would have. I remember she would be wearing a fancy suit, because mommy always wore a fancy suit, and a big hat and high heel shoes. And she used to take it off and come into the kitchen and join all the different church sisters we had working in the kitchen and help them wash the dishes and pack them away. Today, her absence is still felt in the sanctuary, at family gatherings, even in the quiet moments of our day-to-day. But her presence, the gift of being truly with people, it hasn't left us. But that's enough of me talking. To understand Michelle, you have to hear it from the people who knew her best. One of those voices is her sister. Someone who didn't just witness the calling on Michelle's life, but walked alongside it. I think we all know who that is.
Hi.
So you know that I'm on a mission to create the documentary about Mommy and her role as the founder of Grace Deliverance Tabernacle. And I know that you walked alongside with her in that journey. You were there from the very beginning. Do you remember any of the conversations that you had with her?
There were so many mixed feelings, and she expressed some of them. I know deep down she had thoughts as to making the right move, or is this the right timing? And what happened is the word came that they should have made the move before, or we should have made the move before. And the Lord asked, what about the souls? There were many that he had in line that we should have covered or be responsible for, that because we didn't make the move or walk into the path that he has set, that we missed it. So I'm going to say timing is everything. Yes, she knew there was a call. The part that I think concerned her was not moving the time that the Lord wanted us to move. But the greatest part is that we still made the move. Amen. Because though if we had not made the move, those that we would have missed, at least we were able to gather those that were to come. And yes, indeed, they came. So to God be the glory, great things he has done. And I'm not saddened, or I'm not, would you say, disappointed that we didn't make the move. It was great that we made the move. God is an awe-inspiring God. And what we would have imagined, it didn't even come close to what we saw or what we imagined what God would do. He said, I know the plans I have for you. A good plan that give you a hope and a future and expected end. Because you know the end. Sometimes if he would reveal to us how to get there or what we're going to go through, we would have changed our minds. But you know, the greatest thing about it is what he says, our latter end will be greater than the former.
Amen.
And really and truly, she may not be here to see all of this, but the latter end is greater than the beginning. And what we've already reaped and the souls that we have had and even still having is still greater than when we started.
How has ministry changed for you now that she's passed? Her being your sister, and she was also your first lady, but she was also your partner in ministry. So how has that changed?
It's been rather difficult, I must say, because when you could have called, when you could have confided, when you could have said, have you ever experienced this? Or what are your thoughts towards this? Or what should I do? I can't ask her. She's no longer there. So here it is that she became First Lady. She knew how to lead. Yes, it was difficult, but then you could speak to her, and there was always a word that you would give, that you would know that once I got this word, it would change the circumstance or the situation, and knowing that you would feel safe in making that decision.
When you lose your mother, it's like the whole world shifts. The center of gravity moves, and you spend your life trying to find your balance again. But when your mother was also your first lady, her absence echoes through more than just your home. It echoes through your personal ministry. I'm the oldest of her daughters, but today I want you to hear from someone who she called her baby girl, the one who carries her spirit in the smallest gestures and in the deepest places.
Okay. There's so many pictures here.
Church.
It's crazy. All these pictures is like
church.
Church, yes.
Church.
This is church. Church.
After church. Waiting to go home from church.
Yeah, vacation with the church. Another one. Church again.
No, that's not.
Yes, it is.
That's an Easter background at somebody's corporate party.
This is actually somebody's birthday party that was at church.
Alyssa, stop playing.
No, I remember it.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I remember it. It's crazy looking back at these pictures. But I don't know. Mommy was like a first lady, but she was mommy. Like, I knew her as mommy, the first lady.
Yeah, you were born into the ministry. You were only one when we started.
It was weird. It's weird because, you know, she, like, how I grew up is just, everything was really surrounded by church. We were always there. We were always, like, doing something for it. She was always attentive to it. You know, sometimes, like, I don't know, my memories are just with her in church. Like, when I was younger, I remember being, like, so behind her and just wanting to be under her. I remember when she would take me to work with her. That was like something that she would love to do. So I remember I went like one week, we were going with her like day after day, because I think it was Christmas break.
Yeah,
so you know,
break.
Yeah, you know, winter break, how you have like a week before Christmas actual off. So I would go with her, and I remember Mom used to get out of work at like around 7 o'clock. So she would, oh, we gotta run downtown. I'm like, okay, Mommy. So we're running. She's like, we're gonna have to go here, we're gonna have to go there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Mommy, this is taking forever. I'm like, who are you buying this for? Because I know you don't get us Christmas gifts. Like, because she just, Christmas time, she didn't feel like it was necessary.
Yeah, it was more about us serving.
Yeah,
like, what are you doing for others? Yeah.
It was crazy. So she didn't really get us gifts. So I was really trying to figure out who are you buying gifts for. And then that's when she told me, she was just like, I have to make sure that I get enough gifts for the people in church. And she was telling me, she was just like, you gotta bless others. It's not about you receiving, but it's about you giving. So, you know, I kind of, like when she said that, the concept kind of changed the way I was thinking, because I was sitting here like, this is really taking forever. But I was then realizing that she really was taking her time to make sure that nobody was left out.
Do you ever feel the pressure of ministry now that she's not here?
Pressure of like serving, it's not really pressure, but it's more of like what she instilled in me. Because I remember being present in so many of like the events that we had to actually come together to do. And I didn't know why we were going so hard, but now I understand why, because it's just like it has to get done. And I seen that she actually was behind the scenes of doing it. So I'm not so quick to say no, but I'm more open to actually helping, because I know that it's not just about us, but it's about the church in a whole.
About community.
Yes, community. So that's really like something that she just like left with me. And I understanding now that it's about our community, which is our church.
The first time I met Michelle Harding was at 1330 Utica. I was invited by the Londons, and I met her, and she was such an humble person. I wasn't saved then, so I was dressing anyhow to go to church. And one day she approached me, she said, can I talk to you for a minute? I said, yeah. She said, you know, the clothes that you're wearing, which she came to me with not no bad attitude, and I got an attitude, and I wasn't disrespectful, or she was not disrespectful. She said, you know, the clothes that you're wearing, you know, it's not appropriate for church. And I said, okay. And the next Sunday, she came to church, and with a bag of clothes and gift to me, and she said, this is your church clothes from now on. And I said, thank you. Going forward, she were my shopper. She shopped for me the clothes everywhere she goes, and she always come back and said, I have a bill for you. But she never take the bill from me. She just keeps shopping and shopping, and you know, and I really missed her. She was my best friend.
Remember earlier when I said there was so many stories I learned about my mom after she passed? Things I never knew, things I never even imagined? Of all those stories, there was one that stood out the most that I didn't see fit to mention until now. I'm still trying to figure out why I was so impacted by it. Maybe because I am now a mother. Maybe because I know and I have a deep appreciation for what it is to be rescued just in time. I want you to take some time to listen to this.
I remember when Travis was in elementary school, he was walking with some of his friends and didn't know that they were making plans to go into a store and, you know, cause chaos. So he accompanied them in this particular store in the neighborhood. They so decided that this is what they're going to do. And they just started knocking things off the counter, knocking things off the shelves, and just doing the most. He was trying to, stop them from doing it, but apparently they was more than he could manage, and he decided to, just left the store and leave them. On his way home, apparently the store owner called the police and they came. While they were the police was in the neighborhood, they saw him and they stopped him. They asked him if he was in the store. He said yes, and just explaining to them what happened. So they held him, took him to the precinct. I got a phone call saying that Travis was, got arrested. Immediately, I, lost it. Didn't know what to do. Confused, upset, and just don't know what to do at that point. I was crying hysterical. I remember my phone rang and I answered the phone. It was First Lady Michelle Harding on the phone. Now, it's not like First Lady and I have a relationship where we would call and talk to each other, stuff in nature like that. But that particular day, she had called me and she said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yes, I'm okay." She said, "Sister Judith, are you okay?" "Okay." I remember she said that. I said, "No, I'm not." And she said, "What's wrong?" Then I started talking to her and I explained to her what happened. And through me talking, of course, I was still crying, and she started consoling me, encourages me. Then she started praying with me and praying me through the situation. And she said, "All is well," and so forth. We hung up the phone from each other. Not too long after Travis came home, I asked what happened. He told me that the gentleman for the store came to the precinct and to make a report and so forth. And when he got to the precinct and they, so tell him that they held one of the child. And when he came and he looked, he said, no, he was not one of the child that did it. Matter of fact, he was the one that was telling them or trying to stop them from doing what they were doing. And I have to say, to God be the glory. Thank God for prayer and thank God for Michelle Harding, that, she listened to the voice of God, that they went to her to pick up the phone and call to me, knowing that I was in trouble, knowing that I needed someone to talk to, knowing that I needed someone to pray me through the situation that I was going through, knowing that I was weak at that moment and I needed help. And as a woman of God, she listened to the voice of God and she called, and God hear her prayer, God hear her heart.
And now we've come to the part of who she was as the founder of this ministry we sit in today. I wish I could say I remembered it all clearly, but the truth is, I was just a child. 6 or 7 years old when my parents said yes to God and began this journey. The memories from that time are vague, faint images at best. But here's what I do now know. I am the same age my mother was when she took on the call to birth this ministry. She said yes while raising 4 children, while working and commuting nearly 60 hours a week, while grieving the sudden, heartbreaking loss of her own father. I still can't wrap my head around how she did it. Would I have said yes in that same season? Honestly, I don't think so. I might have delayed the work of God, but she didn't. She stepped into it fully, faithfully, and fearlessly. And there's one person who can describe that kind of obedience, that kind of willingness in a single breath.
You busy?
You know what I remember? I remember being 7 years old. I was standing in front of the bathroom door in the hallway, and you and Mommy were going back and forth about what we should name the ministry. You were looking for a name that would be a true representation of what we wanted the ministry to embody, which was healing and deliverance. And I remember that conversation so clearly. But you know what I can't remember? I can't remember what she was like as your founding partner of the ministry. I don't remember what her response was.
Everything that I would say or decide to do, she would always be there with me every step of the way. Never argue, never fuss, never fight, never ask, how are you going to get this done? Never say, we don't have any money. She always put her faith first, and she always stand with me in every decision.
You know what I do remember though? I remember being 10, 11 years old and overhearing a conversation that you were about to retire full-time from your job of driving the school bus and going to full-time ministry. And I was thinking the other day, now that I'm a wife as well, and I also have 4 children, what that must have meant for her, hearing her husband deciding to walk away as the sole breadwinner of the home, owning a home, having 4 children, having all these financial obligations, responsibility, and knowing what that was gonna mean to lose an income and take a chance to go into full-time ministry. What was her response when you came to her and you told her that you were gonna do that?
Well, again, she never disputed, she never argued, she never fussed. She stood with me again with my decision. At that particular time when we started the ministry on WPAT on Monday nights, and I was getting a lot of calls, for people for prayer, and people were coming out to the services, and it became very demanding, with my time. The amount of people that was reaching out needed help, so I made the decision, that I would have retired from my job so I could have more time to help people. And she stood with me, denied herself of many things. You guys also were denied of many things just to fund the ministry and to keep deliverance going in the lives of people.
Because I remember this story about her approaching her 25-year mark at Deutsche Bank and anticipating what her 25-year bonus was going to look like. And she made a vow to God that she was not going to tithe 10%, but instead she was going to tithe 50% of what that bonus was going to be. I remember her coming home and telling me that she received her bonus. And her countenance wasn't low. It was still one of gratitude. She shared the story that she had been taxed significantly more than she had planned or envisioned for. And that by time she was to tithe the 50%, she was going to lose majority of the bonus. But it wasn't going to shift or shake her promise in God.
She surely did. She surely did. I remember that. She surely did. And I truly believe that even though she might have missed her reward here on earth, but I believe the fact that she got an early exit from earth, God chose to give her more time in heaven so she could get a greater reward, more than what she should have even gotten if she had stayed here on earth.
Wow. And now we've come to the end of the story. But before we go, I wanted to share just one more memory. I remember one day in 2013, my mom and I were having one of our usual random conversations. And then out of nowhere, she turned to me and said, "I can't wait for people to meet Bishop Harding's granddaughter." I laughed when she said it because back then she only had a grandson. So I thought it was sweet and cute, even a little funny how excited she was for a granddaughter that didn't exist yet. But then after she passed, that moment kept playing in my head. Why did she say Bishop Harding's granddaughter? Why didn't she say mine or ours? And then one day I understood. She wasn't just talking from her heart. She was speaking from the Spirit. She saw something, she knew something. She knew that her granddaughter wouldn't just be born into our family. She would be born into a calling, a legacy, a spiritual inheritance. And now, that little girl is here. My little girl is here. She never got to meet Mommy Michelle in the flesh, but somehow she knows her better than most. Here's my daughter, Japhia Rose.
Hi, my name's Japhia Rose and I'm 5 years old. You heard my brother in the beginning of the story. He was the only one that actually had it to meet Mommy Michelle. He's the same age I am now. And he begged God to not make her sick anymore. Do you know the doctors tell my mommy that we will never meet Mommy Michelle? Well, the joke was on them. I met her in the special stories that everybody share about her. I met her in the seeds that she watered. Those seeds are the biggest tree ever. hearing the songs, like the one that O'Dane and Adrian wrote when she was sick. They wrote it so we can sing it when she was not sick anymore. But now we finally can sing it because she's free. Pastor this month from trial to triumph, and that's perfect. Because we thought if we prayed enough, help her feel better. But sometimes God answers different that we want. Victory is not always people getting better. Triumph is not always a big miracle we see. Sometimes you don't get what you want, but you get what you need. Even though it didn't happen like we won, we still won. Because Maya Michelle is not sick, she's free. And guess what? We free too. We free because after all of this, learn how to trust God no matter what. Free, I've been set free. I've been set free, yeah. I've been set free. I've been set free, yeah. I've been set free, yeah. I am delivered. I am set free.
Down in that cake down. A little box? Alright. You say cat. Okay.
Can I just fight with the knowledge before? He accused me of making law.